I've heard you say you're never going to sell your Bitcoin. So
Yeah.
is there any situation that you would find yourself in that you're like, you know what, I'll sell some, or are you like planning to leave it as an inheritance for your family, things like that?
Let me explain on that. Um, why would you ever sell an asset in an inflationary environment if it's being priced in fiat currency, which is collapsing in value? For example, if I told you that the dollar is going to be printed and it's going to be debased 10% a year, and if you owned a house
Mm-hmm.
and it was a desirable house and you wanted to live there the rest of your life, why would you ever sell the house? Because you know it's going up in price 10% a year. And if the interest rate is 3%, you would just hold the house the rest of your life and just refinance the house. And when you need more money, you would borrow against the house because the house is going up. If you owned a football team and I printed 10% more money, the value of the football team would go up. You're not going to sell the football team. You're going to hold it. And if you need money, you're going to borrow against it. Selling a good asset normally is always a mistake. But Warren Buffett's never sold his assets. He held them
Right.
forever. John Malone held his assets. Pretty much every billionaire that you know of for the past 100 years, they got that way by never selling anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the trick is you have to find an asset which is not going to be impaired, right? The reason to sell something is not because you need money. The reason to sell something is because the asset is impaired. And by impaired, I mean like sell the football team because you know no one will ever watch football ever again, or sell the ranch in California because you know that they're going to pass a 5% a year property tax on California and you need to leave California, and no one's going to want to ever go to that ranch, and sell it because it's impaired. If it's not impaired, then as fiat gets printed, the asset is going to go up in value if it's a high quality asset. And if you were to sell it, you would get hit with a capital gains tax, either long term or short term, right?
Yep.
Capital gains tax is likely to go up next year, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's 25 to 50%, depending on where you're living.
Sure.
So, so you sell something, you're going to pay half of it to the federal government or the state government. You keep the other half, and then you're going to lose the appreciation on the asset. If Bitcoin was going up 20% a year, right, and you sold it, you would lose a 20% return every year for a decade, right? That means selling $1 million of Bitcoin will cost you $10 million in 10 years.
So is your
So you lose the capital appreciation, you pay the tax,
right?
you get $500,000 to spend. Why wouldn't you just borrow $500,000?
So you're saying borrow against your Bitcoin holdings is in a way to
Yeah.
earn. Okay, so like kind of like BlockFi. I use BlockFi, lend and earn interest on my Bitcoin and other cryptos. In that type of
Let me
scenario.
make a big point, right?
Yeah.
If the asset is appreciating faster in value than the rate at which your expenses are going up yearly,
Mm-hmm.
you can borrow against it forever and your debt to equity ratio will fall. You see, like if I had $1 million of Bitcoin and I borrowed 100,000 against it, my debt to equity ratio would be 10%. I would pay, maybe I pay 5% interest. Maybe I pay obscene interest, 10% interest. Doesn't so I it cost me 110,000 instead of 100,000. Okay, well, Bitcoin's going up. Fill in the number. What do you want to fill in? 20%? It's going up 200%. Well, now let's come back to Bitcoin. Well, what's the highest quality asset on Earth? What's the best property you could possibly have? A city block in Manhattan? Not anymore.
Right.
It used to be a city block in Manhattan when everybody in the world went to New York City, but you can't move a city block. What if I gave you a city? What if I gave you, all of Park Avenue in cyberspace, and I told you that 1 billion people are going to live there one day, and they'll live there for 1,000 years? What if 10 billion people want to live in cyberspace for 1,000 years, and you could actually own 1% of the city
Hmm.
or 0.1% of the city? Why would you ever sell it?
Right.